In 1939, a Nazi spy walked into occupied Poland with one goal: get rich off the war. His name was Oskar Schindler. He was a womanizer, a drunk, a black market profiteer, and a card-carrying member of the Nazi Party. But by 1945, he'd spent his entire fortune, millions, to save over 1,200 Jews from certain death. This is the story of how the most unlikely hero of the Holocaust risked everything and lost everything to do the right thing. Let's be clear, Oskar Schindler was not a good person, at least not in the beginning. Born in 1908 in Czechoslovakia, Schindler was a charming businessman with expensive tastes. He loved motorcycles, beautiful women, and making money, preferably other people's money. His marriage was a disaster. He cheated constantly, he drank heavily, and in 1936, he joined the Abwehr, Nazi Germany's military intelligence service, as a spy. When Germany invaded Poland in September 1939, Schindler saw opportunity. He arrived in Krakow with a simple plan: buy a Jewish-owned factory for cheap, use Jewish slave labor, sell to the German army, and get filthy rich. And that's exactly what he did. He took over an enamelware factory and named it Deutsche Edelware-Fabrik, DEF for short. He hired Jewish workers from the Krakow ghetto because they were essentially free labor. The Nazis loved him. Business was booming. But then, something changed. No one knows the exact moment Oskar Schindler's heart changed. Maybe it was March 13, 1943, the day he witnessed the liquidation of the Krakow ghetto from his horse on a hilltop. He watched as SS soldiers rounded up 2,000 Jews. Families were torn apart. Children were ripped from their mothers' arms. Those who couldn't move fast enough were shot in the streets. The survivors were packed into trains headed for Auschwitz-Birkenau, the death camp. Among the chaos, Schindler spotted a little girl in a red coat wandering alone through the violence. Later, survivors would say that was the moment everything changed for him. He realized these weren't just workers. They were people, families, human beings marked for extermination. And he made a decision that would cost him everything. He would save as many as he could. But how do you save Jews in the middle of the Holocaust when you're surrounded by Nazis? Schindler's plan was audacious. Convince the Nazis that his Jewish workers were essential to the war effort. He threw lavish parties for SS officers. He bribed commandants with diamonds, whiskey, and black market goods. He used his charm, his Nazi Party connections, and his status as a loyal German industrialist to build an image. Oskar Schindler was untouchable. Inside his factory, Schindler did something revolutionary. He created a haven. He provided extra food rations, medical care, protection from the SS. His workers had the highest survival rate of any Jewish laborers in occupied Poland. But his workers knew a secret. The factory barely produced anything useful. Schindler deliberately sabotaged production. Shells that left his factory often failed quality inspections. In 6 months of ammunition production, not a single usable shell was delivered to the German army. He was running a fake factory and spending a fortune in bribes to keep it running. When the Nazis decided to close the Plaszow labor camp in 1944 and send everyone to Auschwitz, Schindler did the unthinkable. He compiled a list. Working with his Jewish accountant, Itzhak Stern, he wrote down 1,200 names, men, women, children. He told the Nazis he needed these specific workers for a new factory in Brunlitz in occupied Czechoslovakia. The bribe? A fortune. Schindler spent millions of Reichsmarks, essentially his entire wealth, to transfer these Jews to his new factory instead of sending them to the gas chambers. If your name was on Schindler's List, you lived. If it wasn't, you died. It was that simple. By the time the war ended in May 1945, Oskar Schindler was broke, completely bankrupt. He'd spent everything, his factory profits, his inheritance, his wife's jewelry, all to save 1,200 Jews. The Schindlerjuden, Schindler's Jews, gave him a ring made from gold teeth, engraved with a Talmudic verse, "Whoever saves one life saves the world entire." But Oskar Schindler's life after the war was tragic. He fled to Argentina to avoid prosecution as a Nazi party member. His marriage fell apart completely. He tried multiple businesses, all failed. He drank heavily. He was haunted by the ones he couldn't save. The people he saved sent him money to survive. Without them, he would have been homeless. On October 9, 1974, Oskar Schindler died alone in Germany, at age 66, bankrupt, broken, alcoholic. But in Jerusalem, when news of his death spread, thousands gathered. Schindler was buried on Mount Zion, the only Nazi Party member honored at a Catholic cemetery in Jerusalem. Survivors from around the world came to say goodbye to the man who gave them life. Today, there are more than 8,500 descendants of Schindler's Jews living around the world, families that exist because one deeply flawed man decided to do the right thing, even when it cost him everything. Oskar Schindler wasn't a saint. He was a Nazi, a spy, an adulterer, and a drunk. He didn't start the war as a hero. He started it as an opportunist trying to profit from genocide. But somewhere along the way, he saw the horror for what it was, and he chose to act. He didn't save everyone. He couldn't, but he saved 1,200 people when the whole world looked away. He proved that even in the darkest moments of human history, one person, one imperfect, complicated, deeply flawed person can make a difference. I knew the people who worked for me. When you know people, you have to behave towards them like human beings. Oskar Schindler. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button. History isn't just about the big battles or famous leaders. It's about people like Oskar Schindler, complicated, flawed, and unforgettable.